Imagine sitting at your kitchen table on a quiet Saturday morning, sipping your tea and skimming through your mail. You're looking for a birthday card from your grandson and a notice from the phone company, but something else catches your eye. Another bank statement that doesn't make sense. At first, you wonder if you've simply misplaced some receipts or forgotten a small purchase. But that nagging feeling in the pit of your stomach grows stronger. The amounts are larger than you remember, and they're labeled with transaction codes you've never seen before. You tell yourself, it's probably nothing, but a tiny voice whispers, what if someone is taking advantage of me? That unease can grow into a full-blown panic as you realize it could be one more reminder that life after 75 can come with challenges you never expected. Financial elder abuse is a reality that far too many seniors face. In fact, experts caution that as people age, they can become prime targets for unscrupulous individuals, sometimes even within their own families, who see an opportunity to exploit their nest egg. The risk isn't just about losing money, it's about losing dignity, autonomy, and peace of mind. Imagine waking up one day to find your bank account nearly empty and feeling the crushing weight of betrayal, either by a stranger you trusted or worse, someone you love. That's the kind of heartbreak we want to prevent, because by the time you notice something is truly wrong, the damage can be devastating. Today, you'll discover 6 vital warning signs of financial elder abuse most seniors miss after 75. It doesn't matter if you're retired, living on a fixed income, or receiving a comfortable pension. If you don't recognize these signs early, you could end up losing more than just money. You could lose your sense of security. My goal here is to equip you with knowledge that might very well save your life savings. I've spent years talking to countless seniors who've been through unimaginable hardships, researching best practices for safeguarding finances, and learning from professionals who specialize in elder care and fraud prevention. By the time we're finished, you'll know exactly what to look for, whom to trust, and how to shield yourself from manipulative tactics that prey on those who believe in the good nature of others. Before we dive in, I want to encourage you to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any future videos. If you find these insights helpful, type 1 in the comments below. If you don't, type 0 so I know to improve future content. Your feedback helps me focus on the issues that matter most to you. And be sure to stay with me until the very end, because the 6th sign is something so subtle and yet so powerful, it often flies completely under the radar, even for those who think they're immune to scams. By recognizing it, you might spare yourself from a crisis that could rip away your hard-earned independence. Let's explore these 6 crucial warning signs together. You'll be amazed by how a few small changes in your awareness can make a huge difference in keeping you safe. Sign number 1 might sound straightforward at first, but it's often overlooked because it can start so innocently. Unexplained transactions that are small at first but gradually escalate. Everyone has an off day when they can't recall if they bought groceries twice in the same week or whether they gave a bit of extra cash to a friend. But here's the uncomfortable truth. In many cases of financial elder abuse, the initial warning sign is a series of seemingly insignificant withdrawals, checks, or online payments that add up over time. You might hear someone say, "Oh, I just needed a little help covering a bill this month. I'll pay you back." That's the common misconception, that small loans, unrecorded cash gifts, and unexpected reimbursements are no big deal, especially when it involves family. But consider what happened to Harold, a retired teacher of 78 who lived alone. He had a friendly neighbor in his 40s who occasionally ran errands for him. At first, Harold gave him $20 here and there as a tip or a token of appreciation. Slowly, those amounts increased. One day, Harold noticed a $200 withdrawal he didn't remember authorizing. His neighbor claimed he took out the money with Harold's permission to buy groceries, but the groceries never appeared. By the time Harold realized these unexplained transactions were turning into a pattern, he'd lost over $2,000 in small increments. The surprising insight here is that abusers don't always strike with one huge theft. They chip away slowly, knowing that many seniors hesitate to question someone they trust. This is especially true if that person is a caretaker or a relative who does you small favors. People assume they're helping me, so they must be trustworthy. The practical advice is this: Start reviewing your bank statements weekly, even daily if that's easier, and keep a small notebook beside the phone or computer where you jot down every check you write or cash withdrawal you make. If something doesn't line up, question it immediately. Don't brush it off thinking you're just being forgetful. If you can't remember when or why you took out a certain amount, it's time to investigate. The emotional benefit of this vigilance is peace of mind. By keeping close tabs on your transactions, you won't feel that creeping sense of doubt or fear that something might be wrong. Instead, you'll have tangible records you can turn to. You'll feel more in control of your finances and your life. And trust me, that sense of control can be incredibly empowering, like shining a bright light into a dark corner where something sinister might otherwise lurk unseen. Now let's look at sign number 2, pressure to add someone to your bank account or legal documents out of convenience. Many older adults believe it's practical to share account access with a trusted friend, neighbor, or relative, particularly if they're helping with errands or bill paying. But that's exactly the misconception. Assuming shared access always helps rather than poses a risk. There's no denying it can be helpful when you're recovering from surgery and need someone to handle your finances temporarily. However, this becomes dangerous when that other person begins to treat your money like their own. Meet Irene, age 82, who broke her hip and needed help writing checks and paying bills during her recovery. Her daughter moved in to assist, and Irene, trusting her completely, added her name to the bank account. At first, it was a lifesaver. The daughter was able to handle bills, pick up medications, and make grocery runs. But after Irene healed, her daughter never took her name off the account. Months passed, and Irene began to see large withdrawals she couldn't explain. It turned out her daughter had started using her mother's funds to cover personal debt. Irene was devastated to discover that someone she cherished had betrayed her trust, and even more devastated to learn the law might view the account as jointly owned, leaving her with fewer options to recover the lost money. The surprising truth is that even family members can fall into temptation when given easy access to someone else's finances. The actionable advice here is to consult with a trusted professional, whether a lawyer or a financial advisor, before you add anyone to any of your accounts or grant powers of attorney. There are legal tools like limited powers of attorney or revocable trusts that can provide help without granting unlimited, unchecked authority. If you must share account access temporarily, set a clear timeline or conditions for removal once you're better. And always monitor your statements, even if you trust that person implicitly. Think about the relief of knowing you have safety nets in place that can reduce the likelihood of misused access. That's the emotional payoff. It's not about being suspicious of everyone around you. It's about striking a balance between necessary help and keeping your independence intact. Protecting yourself in this way ensures your relationships remain built on respect and clarity rather than unspoken, risky assumptions. If you've made it this far and you're finding these insights helpful, please comment 2 below to let me know you're still with me. And remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a great time to do it. Subscribing ensures you'll always be in the loop for important updates that might safeguard your finances, health, and overall well-being. Let's move on to sign number 3, sudden changes in wills, beneficiaries, or estate plans. It's completely normal for seniors to update their estate documents if family dynamics change. Maybe a grandchild is born, or you decide to give a legacy gift to someone you've grown close to. But the bold statement here is that any sudden or unexpected revision, especially if someone else is pushing you to sign documents without proper review, should set off loud alarm bells. A common misconception is, well, if they're suggesting I change my will, they must really care about my intentions. In reality, unscrupulous individuals might push for changes to benefit themselves. Consider Robert, 85, who had a carefully crafted will splitting his estate among his 3 adult children. A new caregiver came into his life, someone who seemed incredibly kind and doting. She started hinting that one of Robert's children wasn't truly devoted to him. Then she tried to convince him to remove that child from his will. Because Robert was lonely and susceptible to flattery, he almost went through with it. Thankfully, his eldest son noticed the unusual behavior and intervened before the documents were signed. The surprising truth is that elder abuse can come in the form of emotional manipulation disguised as concern. One day you might wake up to find that everything you intended for your children, grandchildren, or favorite charities has been funneled to someone you've only known for a short time. The best way to avoid this? First, always involve a neutral third party when making big changes to your estate plan, like a lawyer or a trusted friend who doesn't stand to benefit financially. Second, never sign anything without reading every word. And if reading is difficult for you, ask a professional to explain it. Third, if anyone pressures you by saying, "You must sign this now," consider it a red flag. Emotionally, the biggest benefit of taking these precautions is peace of mind. You preserve your control over your legacy, ensuring that your wishes, not someone else's manipulations, are what dictate the future. This sense of self-determination can keep you feeling empowered rather than fearful that someone might be pushing you toward a decision you don't truly want. Next, we come to sign number 4. Isolation from friends, family, and trusted advisors. This is one of the sneakiest tactics of financial abusers. They might say, "Your kids are only interested in your money," or "Don't bother your lawyer with small questions. I can handle it." Here's the bold statement. Anytime someone discourages you from consulting with your loved ones or professionals, it's a strong indicator they may be hiding something. Many seniors believe, "Oh, they just value my time and don't want to burden me," or "They're so caring, they want to protect me from stress." But consider Janice, 79, who found herself gradually cut off from her social circles by her nephew. At first, he insisted that her friends were too noisy or that her bridge club was draining her energy. He also told her that her financial advisor was charging her too much. Janice, who had grown dependent on him for rides and help with errands, started to believe these criticisms. Little by little, she canceled lunches, avoided calls from her advisor, and let her nephew handle more of her finances. It wasn't until she received a disconnected phone notice, despite paying her bills on time, that she realized he had diverted her funds for himself. With no friends or professionals to turn to, she felt utterly alone and betrayed. The counterintuitive insight here is that while we often cherish help and companionship, healthy relationships never require you to cut off other sources of support. True caregivers are happy when you consult others, get second opinions, or stay connected to your community. They don't see your independence as a threat, they see it as a joy. So take practical steps. Maintain your social connections, keep your regular appointments, and if you see someone discouraging you from these outside relationships, question why. Let your friends and relatives know you welcome their input and ensure you have a network of people who care about your well-being. Even if you can't get out much, phone calls, video chats, and emails can keep you plugged in. Emotionally, having that circle of support ensures you're never alone in dealing with financial matters or suspicious activity. That feeling of community, knowing you have people on your side, can be the difference between catching a small issue early and allowing it to blossom into a major crisis. If you're still watching and appreciate this content, please comment 4 below. Your engagement not only motivates me to create more videos on topics that matter, but can also help other seniors see that they're not alone in facing these challenges. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you won't miss crucial updates on financial and personal well-being. Now let's talk about sign number 5, secrecy or reluctance to discuss financial matters. You might think, "I'm just a private person," or "I was raised never to discuss money with anyone." That mindset is quite common and entirely understandable, but it can also be dangerous. Financial abuse thrives in secrecy. If you're reluctant to share details even with those you trust, it's far easier for an abuser to hide what they're doing. A personal story might help here. Consider Lydia, 76, who prided herself on being self-sufficient. She rarely talked about her finances, even with her closest friends. When a new aide started helping her with daily tasks, Lydia didn't think to mention it to anyone. This aide soon began dropping hints like, "Money is such a burden, isn't it?" Or, "I'm sure you wouldn't want your nosy friends meddling in your private matters." Lydia, wanting to keep up appearances of independence, went along with the idea. Over time, the aide started to control not just Lydia's finances, but nearly every aspect of her daily life. By the time Lydia's sister visited from out of town, thousands of dollars were missing, and Lydia was too embarrassed to admit she hadn't told anyone what was happening. The surprising truth here is that maintaining open lines of communication with trusted confidants can be your best defense. The practical advice is to pick at least one person, maybe your adult child, a sibling, or a longtime friend, and regularly discuss your financial well-being. You don't have to disclose every dollar you spend, but sharing big changes or new concerns can help them spot red flags you might be too close to see. If you suspect something, telling that person sooner rather than later can save you from bigger losses. Emotionally, being open might feel like a risk, especially if you value your privacy. But think of it as building a layer of protection around you. When you have someone who's got your back, you're far less vulnerable to manipulative tactics designed to keep you silent. You'll also find comfort in the fact that if something seems off, you can simply pick up the phone and say, "Hey, does this look normal to you?" That small step could make all the difference. Finally, let's look at sign number 6, the subtle yet powerful warning sign that often goes undetected, a sudden change in your own mindset about money and trust. Sometimes we underestimate the effect consistent manipulation has on our thoughts and feelings. You might start off confident in how you handle your finances, but over time, an abuser can sow seeds of doubt. They might say things like, "You've been forgetting a lot lately," or "You don't really understand online banking. Let me do it for you." Eventually, you find yourself second-guessing every decision, feeling confused or overwhelmed by tasks that used to be simple. Picture Leonard, age 80, who had always managed his finances meticulously. But when his adult grandson moved in, Leonard began to doubt his own capabilities because every time he made a decision, like investing a small amount into a certificate of deposit, his grandson questioned him harshly. "Are you sure that's right? You don't want to lose your money, do you?" Over a few months, Leonard started to believe he was too old to handle even basic transactions. He let his grandson take over. Only after the grandson left abruptly did Leonard discover large, unauthorized transfers to an unknown account. The heartbreak was immense, but so was Leonard's shock at how manipulated he'd become. The counterintuitive truth is that an abuser can manipulate your own perception of reality to the point where you may barely recognize your old self-assured self. The practical step is to stay vigilant about your mindset. If you notice a big shift, like feeling anxious about minor money decisions or doubting your mental sharpness more than usual, it's time to seek a second opinion from someone you trust. Ask them if they've noticed changes in your behavior. Sometimes an outside perspective can bring clarity to a situation you can't see objectively. Imagine the relief of reclaiming your self-confidence, of realizing you're still perfectly capable of making informed decisions when supported by the right people. That's the emotional benefit. You deserve to feel competent and in control of your own life, no matter your age. Protecting that sense of self is just as important as protecting your bank account. If you're still here and you found these 6 warning signs helpful, please comment 6 below so I know you're engaged until the end. And if you haven't done it yet, now is a great time to subscribe and turn on the bell. Your support truly helps keep this channel going so we can continue educating and empowering seniors worldwide. Looking back on these 6 warning signs, unexplained transactions, pressure to grant account access, sudden changes in wills or estate plans, isolation from your usual support system, secrecy around finances, and shifts in your own mindset, take a moment to think about how they might apply to your life. Maybe you've noticed 1 or 2 of these red flags already. Maybe you've been lucky so far, but want to stay vigilant to avoid future problems. In either case, now is the time to act. It's easy to put off these concerns thinking they might never happen to you, or that they're less urgent than physical health issues. But here's the urgency. Financial elder abuse can unravel your security quicker than almost any other threat. Once your money is gone, the stress it brings can affect every part of your life, from your ability to pay medical bills to your emotional health and relationships. Taking steps today, however small, can help you avoid a mountain of regret tomorrow. Which warning sign resonated most with you? Think about how it applies to your everyday life. Visualize waking up in the morning, checking your online banking, with a secure password, of course, and feeling a wave of reassurance that everything is exactly as it should be. Imagine the relief of a phone call with your grandchild that isn't marred by concerns of hidden motives, or the peace of mind that comes from reviewing your will, confident that no one has tampered with it. This level of security can be your new normal if you implement even a few of the tips we discussed. Now, I'd love to hear your perspective. In the comments, share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Perhaps you'll schedule a meeting with a lawyer to review your estate documents, or maybe you'll call your best friend to discuss some recent financial concerns. No action is too small. Your experience could also help someone else in this community realize they're not alone. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, please like and share it with other seniors who might be unaware of these pitfalls. Subscribing ensures you'll be the first to know when I post more tips and stories about protecting your finances and well-being. You have more power than you might think. Every precaution, every conversation, and every boundary you set can safeguard not just your savings, but your dignity and peace of mind. Keep reminding yourself that your financial health and self-worth are worth fighting for. We're in this together, and by staying informed, you're already taking a huge step towards securing a safer, happier future. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.